Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Hut 3, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button so we can talk again. WFAN, a lot of tears were shed, not by your host, of course, on Friday, but the final show of the Brandon Tierney took place, and he was by himself without Sal the Spaz Licata, and I'll have a video on that to sort of run down some of it. He did sort of a retrospective of his time there, specifically with the Spaz over the 2 years. That was a show that they were doing a good job. They had decent chemistry together. People were talking about them. The host was making fun of them, which was great because he was able to make some money off of them. But apparently, that show's over because Craig Carton, the twice host of the Fan on the Fan, is returning to WFAN, and he basically reshuffled the whole entire lineup. And not to be mean, but he's mid. You know what it is? Somebody wrote to me, well, why is this different now than the past? Well, because of social media. Social media is different because that's why they kind of look at it a little bit differently, because they use a lot of the stuff now. WFN looks at it that they can use some of the crazy stuff, supposed crazy stuff that Carton says, and they can use on social media. It's not just about what the ratings are on the Fan anymore, or on the radio anymore. The media has changed. We know that radio is a dying, especially sports talk, is kind of not dying, but you don't have the big superstars that you used to have, like Mike and the Mad Dog and Mike and Mike and all these guys. You don't have that anymore. So all you got is a bunch of mid guys, and because all the better ones, all the better talk show hosts, they have their own shows. They're all independent. And that's really the way to go. But for some reason, Craig Carton is so institutionalized, he had to come back to the radio station, back to the insane asylum, back to the nervous hospital known as the Fan. The Fan used to be located in the famous Cop and Astoria Studios, which films Sesame Street and a lot of movies and sitcoms. I think one of the Cosby Show sitcoms was filmed there. I think, which one was it? The one that had Madeline Kahn on it. When she was one of the characters on the show. So that's a very famous place. And then they moved into the city, or I guess in the mid-2000s, 2009, 2010, they moved to the city. But this is a radio station that's been around from the beginning. They are the first talk radio that talks specifically about sports. But now Sal Licata had a lot to say about the return of Craig Carton. Now, I said back in the summer on the Baseball Hut 2, long before the Baseball Hut 3 was anything. Never even thought about doing this channel. But Sal Licata, I had said that he was in trouble because he was the low man on the totem pole, just based on the fact that he was a fill-in guy. He was a guy that did the overnights. This was a guy that did the weekends. He was steady, but he wasn't that steady. He didn't have his regular show. And that he was going to be in trouble if Carton decided to come back. And I think he would have been in trouble no matter what. I think he was probably the low man on the totem pole for pretty much no matter what the scenario was. He was the one that was the most in trouble. The two least in trouble people at the radio station was Boomer Esiason and Evan Roberts. Norman wasn't going anywhere, and Uneven wasn't getting fired. So we had this situation where a lot of these other people, Brandon Tierney, Tiki Barber, Sal, were in trouble. Also would mention, as an aside, a week before this announcement came of Carton returning to the Fan, Keith McPherson just dropped his show and quit. And I believe that he quit because he knew the writing was on the wall and he was going to get, I don't know if he was going to get fired, but I think he left of his own accord and saw the writing on the wall and just decided to drop everything. But I know a lot of people were not too happy with him. They just, the audience didn't really care for him. To be honest with you, from what I've heard. And just reading certain things and listening to certain things, clips and stuff. His relationship with the audience wasn't great, unless you like putting like a screwdriver in your ear. But this is from Barrett Media, and Sal had a lot to say, I guess, independently. Quote, Sal Licata, I don't blame Craig Carton for coming back at WFAN. Quote, technically he didn't take my spot. Evan and Tiki took my spot. I probably would have brought them back too, just not at my expense. Now, what's most interesting here is that he blames Evan. He blames Evan and Tiki for taking the spot. Because what was going to happen here, and just reading through the tea leaves and some of the things that were said, specifically from Uneven Evan Roberts, Evan had said that he compared his relationship with Carton and his relationship with Tiki as a marriage. Okay? So he didn't want the first marriage to end. It's so bizarre. Okay? The comparison is so bizarre. He didn't want the second marriage to end because the first married person that he was with came back. So in other words, they came to Uneven and said, Uneven, Evan, we're going to bring Craig back. What would you say if we brought him back and you could team up with him again? And I think he said no. Well, we know he said no because he said no. Okay? And I think there's less drama there with Tiki. There's no drama with Tiki. Nothing. Not only is he boring on the air, not only is he like that on the air, but he's boring probably, which is a good thing. He wouldn't be boring off the air. So I don't think he wanted to worry about his partner dropping him and him having to carry the load. Just my own opinion. I don't know. But just reading what he said and watching what he said a week ago, I think that's kind of what happened with the whole thing. So at that point, they said, all right, we'll put Evan in the morning. That meant that Tierney and Sal, that show is kaput. Completely. Okay? Maybe they could have kept Tierney and got rid of Sal, put Tiki back in the morning. They could have done that. Now, I don't think none of them were going to do the late night, which was 7 to 10 or whatever it is. Former WFAN host Sal Licata opened up about about his departure from the sports radio powerhouse and shared his perspective on the return of Craig Carton during an appearance on the Stu Gonson Company podcast. Licata, who had been co-hosting shows on WFAN with Brandon Tierney following Carton's earlier exit, said he always understood that Carton's return was inevitable. Quote, we all knew what was going to happen. So my plan was never, I hope he doesn't come back. I got to do the best job that I could do with the opportunity I've been given. And I plan on doing that, Licata said. I feel like I did do that. That's when I factored Craig coming back. I did not factor in that, no matter how well I performed, how much I put into this thing, how good we did as a show, or I did as an individual, it didn't matter. That sucks. That's what sucks about the radio industry. Despite the setback, Spaz expressed gratitude for his time at WFAN, calling a key chapter in his career. That part of my life and that part of my dream is over, and now I got to focus on a bigger dream, a different path, he said. I love the fan. I always loved the fan, but my future definitely now is no longer WFAN. WFAN officially announced Carton's return last week with his destination being an afternoon drive. He'll pair with Chris McMonagle, a.k.a. the Psycho Killer. I heard that on the radio the other day. Heard twice on the radio the other day. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't stop laughing. But it's all fun. I like the scary song. For a new show that will begin after the turn of the calendar. Due to Carton's return, the station's moving Uneven Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber to the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. window Brandon Tierney and Spaz Licata previously occupied. Quote, I don't blame Craig at all for coming back. He's got to do what he's got to do. The boss made their decision. All good, but yes, technically didn't take my spot. Evan and Tiki took my spot. Bullshit. I probably would have brought him back too. Just not at my expense. The former host, who had gained a dedicated following during his tenure, highlighted the challenging dynamics of the sports radio landscape in New York, where decisions often hinge on ratings, management, strategy, and long-standing relationships. Licata's remarks suggest a professional, measured response to a high-profile personnel change, while also hinting at the emotional complexity of leading a platform where he invested significant energy. Spaz and the Coconut Head announced plans for a live stage show set for January 22nd. Licata wrapped up his tenure with the station last week, with Tierney hosting solo for the final show on Friday. Now, that's it. That's the story. Yes, that's the story of the two of the outpatients. They're now outpatients. They're probably better off. Hopefully I'll have a video on Brandon Tierney where he's going to go. I said, you want to be independent. Be independent, you can do whatever you want. Be independent, you can make your own money. All you got to do is just build your brand. That's all you got to do. It's not that hard. I can do it. I have no background in broadcasting at all. And it shows, doesn't it? Well, thank you for watching this video. And of course, this is another visit. And hopefully a final visit. Helping out Spaz Licata. I said Spaz was in trouble. And it turned out to be right. And of course, this is another visit to the insane asylum. The nervous hospital known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.